Hey, what's going on guys? My name is Brad, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains review. Today I'm going to be reviewing episode 4 and 5 of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains together, so hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it.
やがて俺たち二人だけではハノイの騎士と戦うにも行き詰まるだろう。そんな時一緒にやれたらな。
ハノイの騎士との戦いは命がけになる。そんなデュエルにあいつを巻き込みたくはない。
So, last week I didn't do my review because I really didn't enjoy the episode and I thought my review was a bit too negative when I was going back and watching and editing it together. And the reason for that, I think, is because I sort of expected it to be more like this duel. I expected this to be, the last episode to be more like episode 5. Now, after watching episode 5, I can understand why it was a bit slower paced and why we got a bit more focus on Go Nozuka as a character and his background and why he is dueling right now, and that is so he can, regain the trust of the children who, used to idolize him and think of him as a champion. And I commented that this was kind of selfish of him, and I still do think that it was a very selfish action of Go, and wasn't really in his sort of character that we'd sort of been described to throughout the information that we had received from him. Episode 5 really focused on building him and Yusaku up as characters even further, and at even points, directly comparing them to each other. There's a lot of similarities between them and their dueling styles, and also a lot of differences, and there was a lot of times where non-humans, so Ignis and Go's Duel Disk AI, would actually come out and say, "What are you doing? You're not doing the right move here." But these guys were playing to each other's strengths and weaknesses, and it was really, really cool to see a duel like this, and it definitely gave me a more classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Feel, and something that I really, really want this episode to do. So Yusaku ends up starting this duel off by using the similar sort of tactics we saw Go used during last week's episode, by taking a huge amount of damage to himself and leaving him in a point where he is vulnerable to an opponent's attack, but makes things more interesting, more entertaining for the viewers at home. Yusaku got down to 100 life points, Go's on 2,000, I believe, and Ignis points out that Yusaku could have actually stopped more damage from happening to himself. However, this is all part of Yusaku's plan and Yusaku's dueling style. He is a very calm and collected person, and that is directly reflected in his dueling. We even sort of see that later on. Go is constantly trying to entertain the audience, but not only the audience, but Yusaku as well. We see another one of those 3 count scenes where Yusaku basically says that since he accepted the duel against Go, he can't flee. He can't leave this duel whatsoever, and whether that's out of respect for him or not, we kind of don't know in the beginning, but towards the end of the episode we get a nice clear idea of why Yusaku didn't leave, and it's nice to see all these type of things being tied back to episode 1. There's a lot of things that were sort of throwaway lines in episode 1 that kind of came back and are starting to come to fruition in episode 5 now, so that's really interesting to see. So Yusaku continued to duel because Go was using various tactics to entertain the crowd, including the opponent, and he believes in that dueling style. He is a very firm believer that his entertainment dueling is the right way of dueling, and he is determined to win this duel. Ignis then sort of replies to Yusaku saying, "Isn't entertaining and winning contradictory?" And Yusaku goes on to say that basically once those two paths merge and once you've come to this sort of state of mind that encompasses both of them, then you just need to fight him. And you need to duel this guy to the end, and Yusaku wants to prove and defeat him that his dueling is superior, his style of dueling is superior to Go's. Like I said before, whether that changes throughout the episode, I think it does. I think from the start of the episode, Yusaku does want to directly say to Yusaku, to Go, sorry, I'm the better duelist, my dueling style is better. But towards the end, we slowly get to see Yusaku kind of veer away from that statement and sort of encompass Go's dueling style and really have some fun with dueling again. So throughout this duel, we basically see Yusaku pull out one of the most climactic and intense dueling scenes I think we've seen in a while in Yu-Gi-Oh! And he was able to pull off 4 Link summons in one turn and also access the Cyburst, go into the Data Storm and pull out a new Link monster. Now, this duel definitely felt like a commercial for the Link Strike starter deck, as well as some circuit break stuff, which I honestly didn't mind because whilst I was watching this, I was just shocked that they were able to go, this far into Link summoning and sort of explain more of the rules and explain how Link monsters can be used for Link summoning and replace the monsters with Link markers, and it was done really well. We didn't have, the same animation played every single time Yusaku summoned a Link monster. Of course, we had it when he first went into the Data Storm and pulled out his new Link monster. But every other time they sort of sped things up and cut things out, and we got to see a kind of, did you just summon a bunch of monsters in one turn moment, and it was really cool. It was a really cool scene, and it was just backed up by the fact the animation in this episode, I think, especially the CGI, was really, really well done. And it's this moment we kind of see the duel turn into Yusaku and Go betting all their prides on their monsters, and how their monsters work as a team, and how Yusaku never sort of loses sight of the monster he has on his field, whereas Go is, at least in this duel, very much, it appears all about, sort of power, I guess. And we get to see the monsters fight inside of a wrestling arena. We saw this in episode 4, and I kind of pointed out they didn't really feel that in place. And here it did, because we got some really, really nice CGI animation with Deco Talker and some normal hand-drawn animation with Great Ogre Goki. And these two monsters just kept going at it, kept fighting each other, kept getting revived by so Go's monsters were getting revived by Great Ogre's effect to tribute a Goki monster and to keep it from being destroyed by battle this turn, and Deco Talker was kept getting survived by the effect of Yusaku's new Link monster, and eventually it comes down to Go running out of Goki monsters. And Go doesn't realize he ran out of Goki monsters. He's so focused on this duel, and I think he's never really been in a position to be this challenged, because you can kind of see that he is very used to doing this. He's very used to this action of tributing off the weaker Goki monsters to protect the more powerful one, and he can no longer do it. He's ran out of all of his Goki monsters on his field, and basically that seals his fate, and Yusaku wipes out Go with a spell card that deals 2 times worth of damage to him, because it's the same attack as Goki Great Ogre's original attack was. And this was completely expected. I did not think anyone saw Yusaku losing in episode 4 and 5 of the show. It would be kind of stupid if he did. Whether he'll survive the duels against Aoi in the upcoming episodes, we don't know. But this was a huge episode for character development for Yusaku and Go, because Go was able to, after this duel, sort of accept the fact that Yusaku was a good duelist, and he had a lot of fun dueling at the same time. And you kind of, from the start of the duel, you get the fact that he is just doing this out of pure spite for Yusaku, and for just trying to, be the number one again. And after this, he's laughing. He's laughing because he had a really good amount of fun in this duel against him. And we see him outside of VRains. He's severely, he's sort of hurt because, the duel has taken a big toll on him. We saw that in episode 2 when Ignis was saying about Yusaku about having real life repercussions of being inside of VRains. And all the kids are in his wrestling arena with him, and they've got that handmade champion belt, and they give it to him, and basically he's on the verge of breaking down, and it was a really, really powerful and emotional scene, and nearly got me to sort of shed a tear and stuff. It was really, really nice to see these kids, despite, at the beginning of episode 4, having all of this love and determination for Playmaker to still accept Go Onizuka as their champion, and to want him to keep fighting for them and to keep winning and to keep being the best that he can be. And ultimately, that's all Go can really hope for. And I think that's the best sort of praise to him, is the praise of those group of children, regardless of whether he's the best duelist in VRains or not. And it just shows how tight and closely knit their relationship and their bond is with each other. And I think that's going to be a very powerful thing going through into this series. And I'll talk about it in a couple of minutes, but there was a bit later on that and there's going to be some speculation later on as well, and I really think this show could go very, very dark with Go Onizuka's character, so that'll be interesting to see. As for Yusaku, Ignis basically asked him after the duel why he was so upset for winning. Go was so happy for losing, why was Yusaku upset that he won? And Yusaku basically replies, win or lose, there are some duels you want to keep doing forever. Now, this is a huge step forward for his character, because we know from the beginning of the episode he was very reluctant to duel him. He really didn't care for Go for his duels, because it was not this thing that he needed to do, and now it seems like this is his thing he wants to do. He wanted to do this duel more. He had a lot of fun during this duel going up against Go Onizuka, who was a worthwhile opponent, and he enjoyed that style of dueling and enjoyed the back and forth nature of their duel, which is really kind of amplified by episode 1. Kusanagi says to Yusaku, if you find that person, if you find the Data Storm, maybe you can enjoy dueling again. And this is one sort of step to getting Yusaku to being from that person who only duels for a cause and to be dueling for fun and to be basically being a normal person again, or just like Naoki Shima who duels for fun and for a lot of other people, and really is giving me some Jade and Yuki vibes, especially towards the end of GX, where he lost that fun for dueling because the stakes were so high, and they got so high over the course of a couple of years, whereas right now the stakes are really, really high off the get-go, and that's sort of amplified by Kusanagi's conversation again this episode, where he says to Yusaku something like, Go Onizuka's a very strong duelist, and we might need help in our fight against the Knights of Hanoi, we should potentially try and recruit him. And Yusaku says, no, I don't want to involve Go in this. The fight against the Knights of Hanoi is a life or death situation. So maybe duels against the Knights of Hanoi members are the only way you can die inside of Link VRains, because these guys are terrorists. They're a terrorist type of group inside of Link VRains. So maybe there's something to do with that. Or maybe there's a much deeper connection than we actually think to the Knights of Hanoi, to Link VRains. And to me, this sort of having this scene come immediately after Go talking with the kids at the wrestling arena is really telling, because imagine if at the end of this show, or later on like 50 episodes down the line, a duel is shown on live TV against a Knight of Hanoi member with Go Onizuka, and Go loses. Imagine the amount of emotional tension that scene's going to have, not from Go Onizuka, just him, being upset that he's never going to be able to see these kids again, but from the kids watching Go die. If they sort of go down that route, which I'd really like to see, because obviously Arc 5 didn't have too much death in it, and was generally a very egal, happy, let's just spread this shit everywhere series, then that could be a really, really dark change for Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'd love that. I think that'd be a nice way for them to, or not a very nice way, but it would be a very welcome way for them to go down, to make things seem a lot more severe than they are, because like I said, the start of this duel was lacking severity, it ended with a lack of severity, and this show is only going to get more severe as things go on. Now, one thing I kind of want more clarification on, and I wonder if you guys can help me in the conversation down below, is when Kusanagi was able to make that exit from Link VRains, would have Yusaku actually taken any damage from that? Because we know that if you come out of Link VRains and you've sustained multiple damage, you will, have some negative repercussions. And Yusaku lost a lot of damage in that duel. He lost 3,900 life points, so he probably was a bit injured after coming out of that. What would happen if you were to disconnect in the middle of a duel? Would you be seriously hurt because you had no time to sort of recover afterwards and you were still in sort of that shock of riding on the data wind? Or would nothing happen at all? That's something that kind of needed clearing up for me at least. And also, Akira sort of just seemed very calm with Go losing, which he shouldn't be, because obviously he has this task by the uppers of the Soul Technology Company to find Ignis again and to get it back under their control. And I kind of hope that next episode with Aoi, we kind of see the aftermath of this duel where Akira goes to see Go, and I don't know whether they're going to do that or not. I haven't actually seen the cast, so I don't know if Go's in the episode or not. But it would be very interesting if that's what they did, is they had a scene involving Akira and Go, and just showing the repercussions of Go losing. Because if there is none, then it just sort of makes the whole Akira going to go pointless in the first place, because there's sort of no stakes for him. He's sort of just getting a free thing, and Akira is sort of Go's not losing anything for losing, I guess. But apart from that, very, very enjoyable episode. Definitely raised my opinions of episode 4 as well. I was a bit negative on that last week, and this week definitely brought that up. Really good animation, especially in the wrestling scenes, and the use of the red bloody background with the black characters and stuff was incredible. Music score again was incredible. They used a couple of my favourite themes again. Not too sure on the placement of those music scores, but what can you do? Next week's episode involving Aoi looks incredible. It looks to be very slow and just very down to earth. We see Aoi in a school uniform. We see Aoi in her bedroom and just talking to Akira, and that's all I could have asked for. I kind of said before the episode aired that I'd want to see Aoi in school and to see her in real life before we get into Link VRains. So I hope that's kind of the route they take, or whether they go straight into Link VRains first, and then they spend majority of the episode outside of Link VRains and just exploring Aoi and Akira's relationship, and potentially Aoi and Yusaku's relationship, because we know from the trailer that Yusaku knows who Aoi is. She knows that she's the Blue Angel, which I didn't really want them to do that from the offset, but whether Aoi knows that Yusaku is Playmaker is another story, and will still be something cool for them to explore. But that's going to be it for my review for today. Hope you guys did enjoy. A little bit different. I didn't really focus too much on a summary of the story, and this video is probably still, it's still really, really long, so apologies for that. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next VRains review. See you then.